Shamaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome to GeoGearHeads episode 313, my old area code. But Chris is off today, and we've got Scott Burks joining us. Welcome back.
Hey, Daryl. How you doing, buddy?
Or as your co-host on one of the other shows goes, the Charo of GeoGearHeads.
That's right. Gucci Gucci. So if you want, because Chris isn't here, if you want, I could do bad puns and dad jokes all night if it'd make you happy.
Oh, we have to, because that's what it's all about.
Chris is just dad jokes and bad puns. That's all Chris says.
Well, and it's a randomized show again. So we've got
I'm only on the randomized show.
Yeah, we've got so many random topics, and we're gonna get so far into the rat holes that we need those bad jokes and puns.
Right.
Well, why don't we kick it off with the Winter Trio, who sent us a submission from the web saying they just listened to episode 309 and had a few comments on TB racing. There is a GSEC macro that will track TBs to create some basic stats for the race. It was written a number of years ago by me, meaning Winter Trio, but I think it still works. It's called Trackable Race Summary. It can be a little confusing to set up, but I can be contacted through my GSAC or GC profile. So we will have that link to his profile in the show notes. But he was talking about
owner, and he's the owner, and he literally says it's really difficult to set up.
Sure. Well, I'm sure it's one of these things. He threw it together for himself. There's no revenue or anything. There's no motivation aside from his personal gratification. Get it set up.
Betterment of humanity. It takes an hour and cleans it up. Give it a clean, nice coat of paint and a little bit of better UI, and
Well, it's a macro for GSAC. How much UI can you really put on there?
I don't know.
But yeah, we've all done these kind of projects, I'm sure, where it's like, okay, I'm only going to spend, this amount of time to make it work right, because it's not worth me spending any more time on it. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it's a, nice, stable working tool, but
or it's a bit confusing, like he says.
Yeah, but the interface might suck, and how many of these apps have you seen? And I'm not talking about just, the geocaching apps, but how many of these apps have you seen where it's one person who's developed the whole thing? You get in there and you can't figure it out because you can't wrap your head around developer.
Yeah, their brain. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Oh, sure, dude. Dude, you know who's totally guilty of that? My good buddy Nick is totally guilty of that. Nick of Cashley, totally guilty of that.
Yeah,
there's one part of his app. No. The version today, Nick. If you're listening, I love you. I love your app, but dude, seriously, it's killing me. He's got one part of his app. Okay, Cashley. There, if you go in and you are working in the map, okay, and then you go to, I gotta find out where it is now. You could reset something. You could reset parameters, or he's got the reset button where the OK button usually is. And so I reset this thing all the goddamn time. And he doesn't even have a modal saying, "Are you sure you want to reset? Are you sure?" It'll pop up. You sure you want? No, you reset it
or the
reset
live?
Something.
Because you're on the beta track for that.
I'm on the beta, but Jesse's on the live. And I think, no wait, Jesse's on the beta too. Shit, I'm not sure. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm not sure, but I think it's. I'm sure I'm not the only person this has happened to. I know it's happened to other people using casually.
Okay, but this is, you said it's released today?
No, the one that's been released forever.
Ah, got it. All right, because I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, you want to see where it is? You know how you could set like hold on, let me see if I can figure out where it is. There it is, right there. Okay. Oh, I almost did it again. I almost just reset the goddamn thing. Okay, if you go into the map and you go into the cog in the upper right.
Right.
What does it say in the upper left-hand corner?
Reset.
Okay, don't push that button. But that should be done. Usually the done button is in the upper left.
Oh, I see what you're saying. He toggled the sides.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if you hit the reset button, it will reset all of your
Search criteria.
search criteria.
Yeah.
It won't give you a pop-up saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" It will just reset it. So don't push that button. But that button, I think, those two should be flipped, in my opinion.
I've had to hit that reset button a few times when like Renee gets her searches all screwed up and can't find anything. So yeah, I'm well familiar with that button, but I haven't hit it accidentally yet.
Oh my god, all the time. So does Jesse. We'll be sitting there driving, and I'll be we'll be catching how Jesse go, "God damn it!" Reset button. So Nick, if you're listening now, you're probably not, but if you are listening on the off chance, how about putting a modal on there, a little pop-up box saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" How about that? But so my point being is that even Nick, who is the god of geocaching apps, occasionally does, is not the perfect UI. It's good, but it's not perfect. But yeah, I've seen some really bad. I've seen unusable ones. Not even geocaching apps. I mean, being in the business and creating a lot of this stuff, I see it all the time. Yeah, terrible ones.
Yeah,
but that's what happens when you don't have a designer.
Right.
Somebody knows what they're doing. That's what happens when you have a developer designing an app. That's what happens.
Yeah, well, and especially when you have a developer who's spending that much time in the app, and that's like the only thing they're working on, you tend to lose sight of what's actually normal, because you're so ingrained in this process.
In my business, that's known as another pair of eyes.
Yeah.
I need another pair of eyes because I've been looking at this way too long.
Yeah.
It's like when you're coding something and you can't figure out, there's an error and you can't find it. You're like, somebody else got to look at this because I'm just seeing the same thing over and over again. Somebody will come in and be like, "Oh yeah, it's right there, dude."
Oh yeah.
Because they're fresh eyes.
Well, it's like proofreading a document too. Same kind of thing. You read the same lines over and over again. And you read it the way you intended, and you won't realize that you have an extra "the" in there or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, you really have to have someone else check some of this stuff sometimes.
True.
In any case, getting back to the TB macro, that is a good tip for anyone who is using it. But unfortunately, Shermanator18, who was asking about this, I don't think has GSAC anymore. I think she actually switched to a Chromebook for her primary machine. So
primary
that's
machine, Chromebook.
Yeah.
So guys, I went over to Daryl's house about a month ago, and I spent the weekend there. I know, God help me. And I played with Daryl's Chromebook. I'm a Mac guy, as everybody knows, and I dug your Chromebook. I actually dug it. It was nice. I don't know if I'd use it as a full-time machine.
Well, she's got other machines, obviously, at work, and her boyfriend has a gaming PC, that kind of stuff. So her machine, I think, is the Chromebook. She has access to other machines, but her primary machine is now
my primary machine could be a Chromebook.
Well, if you're doing like the Google Docs, that kind of stuff, if you're doing Android apps, because most of the Chromebooks now will run Android apps, and she's using it largely for doing the podcast. I'm going to get it wrong again. Geocache Talk. No, I got it right. Okay, Geocache Talk.
What did you usually call it?
I keep trying to call it. Now I can't even remember it. Oh man, I got to look at the coin back here. But the Australian one that's long gone, along unfortunately with the late host. But she's doing the Hangouts and the doc, so it really makes sense for her to have that Chromebook because it's so much better than a cheap Windows laptop for that.
Right. No, it was a nice little machine. It definitely was. It gave me an itch where I'd love to get one, but that Jesse's like, "Well, just get an iPad. Get a new iPad, dude. Why would you get like a Chromebook when you just get a new iPad?"
Because the Chromebook has the keyboard and the touchscreen, and that one that you were playing on cost me under $200.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's
yeah.
But I'd rather have the new iPad for $400 and the brand new.
I'd rather have the iPad for $1,000 with the LTE and the pencil, which means it's going to be $1,500 by the time I'm done.
Damn you, Apple.
Anyway,
pencil came out 2 years too late. When I for anybody who doesn't know, I about 3 years ago, I did animation for a TV show. And I did all the animation for it, and that was including 30-second animation snippets, and I did everything on the animation. I drew out the characters, I did all the backgrounds, and oh my god, that pencil would have saved my life. I missed it by a year because I was using a stylist, and stylus, the thinnest you can get it is like an eraser, like a pencil eraser, and like tried drawing cartoons with a pencil eraser. It's not so easy.
Hmm.
So, that would have
Yeah.
saved. That would. Oh my god, I would have loved that. I missed it by
Well, there was
that much.
always like the Cintiq. You could have gotten that for your iMac.
A what?
The Cintiq tablet.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I did it all, dude. I did it all in Photoshop and an iPad. I did the whole thing, and Flash and Flash animation. I'm not gonna get a Cintiq and pay $1,000 for that.
Well, you'd pay this $1,000 for the iPad Pro too with the pencil.
I know, but then I'd have it forever. That's the difference.
Well, you would the Cintiq as well.
Yeah, I know, but I use an iPad every day of my life. I have an iPad in my hand. I don't have a Cintiq in my hand every day of my
Well, that's because you didn't buy it.
life. Even if I bought it, I wouldn't have it. Stop it, Daryl.
See, if you had bought it, you'd be sitting here drawing on my face on the Cintiq right now.
I'd have to play with it because I'd have to justify spending the amount of money it costs. I mean, who am I kidding? You think I use my iPad for? It's like Netflix. That's what I use my iPad for.
Well, I actually got the
It sits
Fire.
in my bedroom, and I go to bed every night watching Netflix. That's all I
Well,
do.
I did the same thing with the Fire tablet because I was doing so much of that with the iPad. It's like I'm not spending money on an iPad right now. I'm gonna get this deal for $100 on a 10-inch
And how is it?
Fire tablet. I'm loving it. It sucks as a
Really?
tablet, but as
But
a
it
mobile
works as a
TV,
TV.
yeah,
Works
as
as
the
a
mobile
TV.
TV is like, what's it? Texture.
Uh-huh.
The like Netflix for magazines.
Mhm.
It's great for that stuff, but
It's just
it's
amazing
not
how
a good tablet.
8 years ago I was going to bed with a laptop, and now I'm going to bed with a freaking iPad, and it just makes my life so much easier. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we don't want to get into that. That's something you're going to talk about on the What's Up Internet.
Just on me and you.
Like
Sorry.
in the Chinese robots that you want to go to bed with next. So back to the email from Winter Trio. He said benchmarks. You can download the full benchmark database from the NGS website. He's created GPX files in GSAC and loaded them into Geosphere.
I thought Geosphere was dead. What happened to Geosphere
It
being
is.
dead?
It is dead.
So
It
how is
doesn't
he
work
using
anymore.
it? Dead.
Well, past tense.
I
Past tense.
loaded. Oh, I loaded them. I thought I meant like loaded them as in I loaded them yesterday into Geosphere. Sorry.
No. He's talking past tense,
Okay.
loading them into Geosphere, or who knows? He might still have an old iOS 10 device, in which case it still works.
So did I tell you I got the iPhone 10? I tell you that.
You did? Oh, I don't know that you've told our audience that.
Facial recognition is the bomb.
See,
The
I
bomb.
still am worried about that, especially because there's too many times when I'm like on this show and want to unlock the phone.
Dude,
So, and I don't want to like pull it up and hold it in front of my face.
Unlocked. Boom. Done. Look at that. Just looked at it.
Yeah, but you're looking away from the camera.
Oh, really? You're not looking at the camera right now. What are you talking about?
Right, but now I've got to go and do like this and look at it. So
Dude,
I don't know. It's just one of those.
It's dare I
have
say,
to get
Daryl,
my
on your
hands
show.
on it, right?
Dare I say on your show, it's the shit. Okay, I apologize, everybody, but like, it is. It really is. I mean, the camera's ridiculous. It really is.
I've heard nothing but good reviews of the facial recognition.
Yeah, I was worried, and it has the only time. You know what? It doesn't work when I'm wearing my my Ray-Bans.
Really?
It won't. Yeah, Ray-Bans. My regular glasses, yes. My regular glasses with sunglasses, yes. With clip-ons. My Ray-Bans, no. Because I think my Ray-Bans, the Wayfarers, so they're like, like a big chunk of my face,
Mhm.
and they don't do it. But I all have to do is go bloop, lift them up, bink, and it works.
Interesting. Now I understand that you can retrain it in better light, and sometimes that kind of stuff works again. The sunglasses. So
Mhm.
it's based on you reset the database with better image quality, essentially, and better scan of your face.
Mhm.
Then it can extrapolate when it's you and not you while wearing sunglasses better than if it didn't have a good one. And part of it is it's taking all of your failed attempts where you've entered the passcode
Mhm.
and taking those images and adding it to the database saying this is who it's supposed to be and trying to make the judgments of how you're aging or when you're sick or whatever,
Mhm.
widen that range.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the concerns has been, what if your kids start doing that because you give them the passcode so that they can unlock and
Right. Oh, I understand. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I don't
So
let my kids do that.
yeah,
Then I
but
hide my face. My kids do this to me. They like put the phone in front of my face. Shane does it all the time. I was like, I'm like blocking my.
But in any case, if the kids like do the waving in front of their face and then hear dad enter the passcode because it's locked, it's going to take that last image of them and add it to your database too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of situations that can.
I can't believe you don't have it. I can't believe you don't have it.
I'm going to go for the 8.
You don't even have children. You can't justify being too much money because you have no children. So you can't justify the cost at all. You can totally justify the cost. I've seen you spend more. I've seen you spend more on worse. Okay, so you can't say the cost is too much.
All right,
come on, man.
Get the email though.
Sorry.
He says he hasn't tried importing to Cashly, but he expects that it would work there. I'm not sure that it will work because I don't know about the GC numbers, the cache codes. I thought there was something that if those don't line up to caches in the geocaching database, that it wouldn't work. But I'm not sure because it does work if you have the custom caches loaded in with the GC numbers. The ones that are unpublished. But as I recall, it has to have that GC number.
I bet you it would. I know Nick. He'd make it work. He's thought of that already.
Well, we had a discussion about it with him on version 2, and it didn't work at all under version 2.
Really?
It had to be published, yeah. And then he changed it around, and it actually worked.
Of course.
So it was one of those things we brought up on the show, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we should fix that."
He was like, he wiggles his nose. Worked. He's Nick. Come on.
He is the great and all-powerful Nick.
All right. What else we got?
All right. Next up is geocaching.
Who's this from? This is from Winter Trio? Is that what this is from?
Yeah, that was Winter Trio.
Okay.
That whole thing was Winter Trio. So we did 17 minutes on Winter Trios. Comments. Geocaching.com has 2 souvenirs for the new year, one for the out and one for the in. So on December 31st, that's going to be Sunday.
So I have a question about this real quick. So I have to attend an event. I can't get a cache. I got to go to an event.
No, it's a cache or an event.
Okay, good. Because I was like,
you just have to log a find or an attend.
Okay, good. I thought it was just an event. Good. Okay.
No, it's
Thank you, Darryl.
It's either one works for either one. So there's a lot of events that you'll find posted because of this.
Sure.
And they've done this in previous years. They didn't do it last year, but they did it the year before. And there were a lot of events last year for people who were anticipating the souvenirs that didn't come.
I just know that, like, I know on New Year's Day we go out caching. Well, when we don't have kids, we don't have kids this year. But I know we're like getting up early and going to Wisconsin, and so I know that I'm not going to attend an event. I'm going to attend an event on New Year's Eve, but not New Year's Day. So I was worried I wasn't able to get that New Year's Day, but thank you, Darryl.
Well, you
can. I even went on geocaching site to try and find the answer, and I couldn't even find it. So I knew I was coming on the show with you. So I'm like, oh, Darryl.
Yeah, for the answers on this kind of stuff, the best place that I find is the blog.
That's where I went to. I went to the blog.
Well, I copied this right out of the blog.
Shut up.
But yeah, I have a hard time finding stuff on the blog a lot of the time.
Yeah,
it will show up in my newsreader when I go back like a day or two later.
I was done.
Yeah, a couple of days later, it's like, where is this? So they do have to work on the searchability and discoverability on the blog over there. But in any case,
I can't give them crap. They've been doing a lot of good stuff this year. I can't.
They have.
Yes, I can't.
Yeah, and I think
good, but it wouldn't be fair because I give them crap.
We've seen more front-facing releases this year than we have ever before.
Absolutely, yes. We've commented on the geocaching podcast a lot on how much work they've done, and 90% of it's been great. I have nothing but praise for them. In past years, I've been nothing but harping on them, and I think they've done a lot. I don't know if that's because Jeremy's out or what, but
I
it's
think it's really a reflection of they've been spending so much time working on the back end stuff because they had a lot of problems they had to fix on the databases and that kind of thing.
just upgrading and whatnot.
Yeah, well, it was all done, as hobbyist code, as they like to call it. It
Sure.
was Jeremy built the stuff, you know,
Right.
out of his
Right.
living room or
Bedroom.
whatever.
Right. And never. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
and
Sure.
it was that whole
Band-aids and band-aids and band-aids and band-aids.
yeah, and it wasn't ever really architected. It was
Mhm.
we need this, let's put it together, and they've been
Sure.
working diligently to fix that. It has taken a while.
Well, they did
One of the
good.
big problems has been the timestamps on logs. It was never built to be global. It was built to be server local.
And that's what it is. And
Well, now
they've
it's UTC.
it's been that way for a long. Oh, is it really? Because it's
Yes,
always been local. Yeah.
that's one of the changes they made this year. It's now in UTC. It's localized, I believe, to your setting, for your home location,
Mhm.
but it's now recorded in UTC and it is shifted based on your location.
Hmm. Interesting. Look at Edwin in the chat room. No excuse. He had 14 plus years to fix it. Look at him
Well, they
just
only
cutting him no
started fixing
cutting
it.
him no slack.
Yeah, they only started fixing it like 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Compared to what it was, it's much
They've
better.
been complaining about it for like a decade, but
I don't like, the first thing I shut off on that site was that whole like what my friends are doing. Like, I don't care what caches
oh,
my friends are finding. Like,
that
that's
was
just
bad.
trying way too hard to be social media.
Yeah,
God bless them
and
for trying, but
we're
like,
talking about the dashboard
yeah,
updates now.
exactly. I don't care what cache.
Yeah, and the
I don't care
dashboard.
what cache Daryl's finding. I don't care what he's finding because if it's anything good, he'll tell me about it. Like,
Yeah, well, it was messy, and I think that they had planned on something more and better, and it just didn't really work for them.
and the whole
The
friend thing
friend.
too, man. The friend
Yeah,
thing.
well, the friendly thing is pretty cool, but
Yeah, it's funny. Jesse looked at
it's
it, by the way, after geocaching day. When
uh-huh.
me and Jesse got 110 caches, we were up to like 1,650 something.
Oh, wow.
We were rocking our friends. Yeah,
I want to see them do a lot more with that kind of stuff too. However, they need to start working on the pocket query replacement essentially with the
what's up
advanced
with that?
search.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's pretty low on the list, I think, because they have a bunch of other things that they need to do first, but they're looking at something with a saved advanced search that's going to ultimately replace the pocket queries.
Mm,
And I don't know
really?
that they know how they're going to do it, but they don't want to get rid of pocket queries either.
How can you get rid of a pocket query? I'm confused on how you're going to get rid of
Well,
that.
if you're doing the pocket query is the search, not the GPX file it generates.
Okay,
They're
so
going to save
I'm
the
thinking of a
GPX
GPX.
file.
I'm like, how do you possibly
Right.
get rid of it?
Yeah. No, they're going to
Right.
get rid of the well, I
So
shouldn't
how
say
it's
they don't have any intention to get rid of it, but they want to replace it with
mm,
an advanced search that's a little easier, that is more powerful, that can be saved, but I'm not sure they're going to run it on a schedule. So they may create these saved searches. And right now, if you want to create a saved search, create your advanced search and bookmark it. So you create it, give it all the
mhm,
settings, execute the search, bookmark that first page, and there is your save search. But it's the
mhm,
bookmark. They want to do something that's saved on the server and maybe do some triggers off of that for timed updates. But
mhm,
they want to do it, as I understand it, as a list, not as the pocket query. So it can update with live information. Pocket queries, it only updates when it runs. So for like the app users,
right.
you don't get you actually do get the current information if you're pulling from the API, but the pocket query is only executed when it runs. If they can do it as like a advanced search list, I think the theory is that it's going to save current on the device. And that's, I
Okay.
think, what they haven't been able to figure out.
You
Where,
lost me halfway through.
well, and I think that's the problem is that they're trying to figure out what it is going to do in the new version.
I don't know. You were Charlie Brown's teacher halfway through that. You were.
Fine, be that way. Speaking of the dashboard, though, they did wrap up all of the changes that they're doing to that. It is now a done lockdown
Is it good?
project.
Uh-huh.
I
I
have
don't like
not
the
yet
whole.
checked it out.
I don't like the whole like your cache needs maintenance thing that they pop up there. You see that?
Yeah.
I complained about that on my show because like I have a cache that's a total cockeyed and it got two DNFs and it pops up on there. It's like, dude, that doesn't mean it's gone. Just because it's got two DNFs doesn't mean it's gone.
Right.
Like, can't they have an algorithm where like, like, hey, maybe, that it's a DT ratio on that with the find no finds.
Well, probably the difficulty, not the terrain, because the terrain shouldn't make a difference in the difficulty to actually find the cache. Yeah, something that takes into, if it's a D5 cache.
Yeah, maybe not have every, two DNFs.
Yeah,
and
it
the
would
worst
be
part
like
is
5.
Like, and then I looked at the
DNFs.
I looked at the finders and they had like 10 finds. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Like somebody with 10 finds is DNF in this, like, and with his buddy who's with him, so now they're both DNF in it, and now I'm getting flagged.
Right.
Which
is the way some of the other services handle their maintenance modes too. So
that kind of rubbed me. I mean, it was a quick. I mean, it went away as soon as I refreshed the page. But that's just I think they should take it maybe more into account with that. It's like when you try and do a new geocache, and it's like, hey, you get this stuff's you're having issues with these. Are you sure you want to do it? Kind of a thing. When you try and put a cache out, like
right. Well, they haven't played with the new cache submission
process. Butternut, how about you maintain your crap before you put out more stuff? So they're freaking guilting me into maintaining my crap.
Yeah, well, it's for those hiders who just throw stuff out and never maintain it.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's going to encourage those hiders to just archive those caches so that it opens up the space for new caches to go in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the cover image thing, you played with that.
I did it.
Like you're not impressed with it.
You don't like it? I like it. It's
no, it sounds like you're not impressed with it.
The cover image thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it. I was one of the first people to do it. I did it in my whole other podcast. Didn't even know you could do it yet. I'm like, God, I did that like a week ago. What are you talking about? I did it first thing. I'm like,
you weren't terribly impressed with.
Remember like how they had the wavy background, and I'm like, why can't I click on this and put a picture back there? I'm like, what's going on? Why can't I do this? And then all of a sudden, one day I could. I'm like, oh, I'm going to put a picture back there. No, I like it. I have no problems with that. I thought it was nice. Yeah, it should have been done right out the gate.
Yeah, they had to, I think, get some of the other stuff done, and then that was the last thing they wanted to do before they called it done.
Yeah,
but I haven't played with the new cache submission stuff either. Really with this.
You haven't done that yet? You haven't done a new submission yet? Yeah, it's nicer.
Not done a new submission since they.
It's a lot cleaner. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner.
It was getting messy.
Yeah, it's all one page. It's all one scroll. You don't have to like go from page to page to page.
And that was just nasty.
Yeah, it got ugly. It did get ugly. It did. Yeah, and like you said, you really subscribed to you subscribed it. You described it perfectly. The old site where it's like, it was like thrown together in somebody's bedroom over a weekend kind of a thing, and they just band-aid upon band-aided it. Like it was a poor man's coding. And not a poor man's, but what'd you call? How do you say it? Hobbyist, perfect hobbyist coding. And that's the way it was for the first 12, 14 years of it, or 10, 12 years of it before they really started changing.
Yeah, it's been 17 years, and it was right around the Lost and Found events, which was the 10-year anniversary, that they started really saying, hey, we got to work on this.
That was the golden age of caching right there. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when they realized, hey, this isn't just a fun and game sideline. This is really a serious company. It says, this is in it for the long haul. We have to start investing in the infrastructure that runs it.
Right. So they took my
when they had done well, that's also when they had done the waymarking was about that time, and
waymarking totally.
And then it It was like 5 years ago, I think, that they kind of refocused on geocaching and put everything else aside to make geocaching the priority and get that working right, and not divide their attentions among all of these other projects they had going, including Where I Go and
Sure.
waymarking.
But Whereago
Which,
really got thrown to the wayside, though. That really got thrown to the
so did
wayside.
waymarking.
Yeah, but yeah, but
Everything did.
yeah, but Waymarking they took off the site. They made it its own website. You know,
Same with
whereas
waymarking.
no Waymarking
Waymarking.
they did.
Yeah.
Waymarking they made a website. Whereago is you still access them from geocaching.com.
Well, no,
It's
there's
still
the Where I
yeah,
Go is its own site, but after they released Where I Go to help push people to create Where I Go cartridges, they created the Where I Go caches. That was after they had launched Where I Go.
right. But why wouldn't they just like either third party out the Whereagos because that needs an overhaul as well. That the
Yeah,
whole thing needs an overhaul. Why wouldn't they just third party that out or bring in bring contractors in for 6 months just to work on it?
I don't know.
You could say like it's not a priority, but like it's been years. It's been years. It's not getting any better.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
no, they just stopped everything
Right.
years and years ago.
Right.
But I think they don't want to let go of it. But again, they're not really sure where it's going to go. And when we first started seeing the lab caches, it looked a lot like they were going to try to make Where I Go web based with the lab caches, and that just didn't end up happening.
Mhm.
There's Intercache, which is essentially a Where I Go on the web.
Mhm.
So they could always just grab that from Chilihead. He's a reviewer anyway.
Right.
Hey, you want to come and work for us for a while and turn Intercache into the new Where I
Right.
Go cloud or whatever we're going to call it?
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of the clouds, we've got news from GPS World that there's 4 more Galileo satellites that have been launched, and this was just on the 12th of December. We have 4 new Galileos. These are the EU satellites, and their numbers 19 through 22, and they took off from French Guiana.
French.
French Guiana.
Really?
Yep. Only
Hmm.
one more remains
So
before
they're
Galileo.
French.
I'm
They're
sorry.
French. They're
Well,
French.
they're launched from. Yeah,
They're launched from the French.
they're all over the place. I don't know which is which, but yeah, they're launched.
So what are these
Well,
bad boys going to do? Tell us, Daryl. I
well,
know you know.
these are the next 4. They only need one more to bring the constellation to 22, which gives them full coverage. But it's going to take them a while to turn these things up. But
Full.
Galileo, full coverage of the entire globe.
I thought we
But
don't
they're
have that
almost done.
now.
Not with Galileo.
Oh.
Galileo is the system that the EU has been working on for
Mhm.
like the last 25 years, 30 years. But the cool thing about Galileo, for anyone who doesn't remember, Galileo is two-way. You have to pay for the service. But the big thing was they wanted a system that would track ships and planes in the middle of the Atlantic and allow for like distress calls, for emergency beacons, for like hijacking alerts. This was
Mhm.
all built into the design. So you
Mm.
have to pay for that service, but from the Galileo system, you can send those kind of distress calls.
Mm.
So one of the things that they keep talking about is with what was that Malaysian air flight that disappeared? I
Oh,
can't remember.
something 1-4. Was it 2-1-4 something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember. But if they had the
Like last year.
Galileo, it was
Oh,
2
then what
years
we
ago.
wouldn't have
Well,
2
it
years
would
ago?
have kept track of where the satellite or where the plane was
Ah.
by the satellites, rather than right now it has to relay its location through the transponder to the terrestrial systems.
How much do we need to know? Seriously. How much do we need to
Well,
know?
for this kind of
Come on.
stuff, it's if you're out of range, like
Come
think
on.
about the pirates attacking the ships in the Atlantic
Let me tell you a
or
story,
Pacific.
Daryl. Let me tell you a story. I'm in the
It
car
was
with
MH 370, according to Edwin.
I'm in the. Oh, thank you, Edwin. Was it really? That was Malaysian, really? I'm in the car with Jesse the other day, like yesterday or the day before. We're talking about her dad. Her dad's in town right now. He's from West Virginia, and he's coming. We're talking about the Red Roof because he's going to stay at a Red Roof. Didn't you stay at the Red Roof when you were in town?
Nope, I have not stayed
Oh,
at a
you the
Red Roof
Quinta.
in
You left Quinta.
yes,
That's what
La
you said.
Quinta. I have
So,
not been in a Red Roof in probably 30 years, and that's by
so
design.
her dad, no judging, prefers a Red Roof. So there's one in Hoffman Estates where you stayed. And I'm like, I think there might be a Red Roof closer. Maybe there's a Red Roof in Northbrook. Needless to say, we kept saying Red Roof. Nay, the next day, my Facebook feed had guess,
Red Roof.
Red Roof as a sponsor, not a
And
sponsor, as a
uh-huh.
promoted. Like, what's this shit all about? Really? No, I wasn't on my
There's a
phone.
lot of
We
stories
were, we
about
were, we were sitting in the car. My phone was on me, obviously, but phone wasn't on. Sitting in the car, having a conversation.
well, supposedly I have not read the story. I've only heard the podcasters talking about it, but supposedly someone had done an experiment, some couple took their phone that had
With the cat
Facebook
food.
installed
Yeah, the cat
and
food. Yeah,
talked about cat food, but they don't have a cat or anything. They
right.
never talk about cats or anything like that on Facebook or do any Google searches or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They just talked about it in the room, and suddenly they started getting all these cat ad pop-ups on Facebook.
Happened to me. Happened to me. Red Roof.
So it sounds like they are doing more than they're letting on,
Here's a story for you.
and it's Facebook, so I don't doubt it.
Jessie is talking to her son on the phone. Talking on the phone to her child, also on a phone. He's telling her about the drum set he got. She's like, "Oh, cool! You got a drum set. That's awesome. What kind of drum set? Oh, was it this kind of drum set?" Jessie next day in her Facebook feed, drum sets.
Yeah, I don't trust Facebook at all, so I'm not a good person to
I know
comment
you
on
hate,
these.
dude. I hate Facebook too. I know you hate Facebook.
But so many people,
Unbelievable.
so many
Unbelievable.
people are just uninstalling the app, and I would recommend that for everyone. Just plain as
That's
day.
blasphemy. Don't Facebook. That's Daryl. That's not me. Facebook gods. That's Daryl. I
Well,
love your app.
so many people are just doing the web-based Facebook because that way you have more control over it, and the Facebook app is just terrible. It sucks down battery and
Oh
it
my god.
uses
Oh,
so
it's
much data.
so huge too. Yeah, it's
Well, and
terrible.
I've had so many people who are complaining with after they got a new phone that the phone is dead slow. I'm like, do you have Facebook installed? Yes. Uninstall it. Instantly, the phone is like perfectly, just quick and responsive. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Too. I bet you donuts to dollars that if you like strip down, I think Facebook is like AOL back in the day. Remember AOL back in the day, back in like the 90s when you could actually like take Windows down to like DOS and you still had AOL crap in there. Like
oh
that's
yeah.
how bad AOL was. That's how deep AOL went. Like when you installed it via the discs actually back before the CD-ROMs. And like I bet you Facebook's the same thing on the iPhone. I bet you if you dug deep down into the iPhone, I bet you'd still see Facebook crap in there. Because
I don't know about on the iPhone, but I know that Android, it had a bunch of stuff that people had to weed out manually.
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. But I think once the app was removed, the other stuff is just references that can't be run. But this is also 4 or 5 years ago that people were talking about it. So I'm certain it's changed since then.
Yeah, it's just it's a horrible app.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even like what it's become. I think it's become way it's gotten too big. I don't like I'm an Instagram and Twitter man myself. I'm not a Facebook guy, so
yeah. Most of my stuff is Instagram, but that's still owned by Facebook.
I like Twitter because they're as narcissistic as I am, and they're just mean and hatred, and I love it. I love reading Twitter. I love it.
But my problem with Twitter is just I can't keep up.
Oh, I
I
love
was so into
it.
Twitter, 15 years ago or whatever it
Oh,
was, when it was a nice small group. I had like, 50 people on there, and you just go in and a couple times a day you read all of the tweets from that day. Now, I can't even
can't.
read the tweets in the last hour.
Oh, it's too many. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
All right. Next one, though, it should make you happy because it's a GPS story. And that's the
Ooh,
first of the GPS 3 satellites has received commands from OCX.
that is way above my nerd level. What does that mean?
All right. Well, November 2nd, so this is over a month ago, the
Wow,
Space
way to
Vehicle
real new news, Daryl.
1, GPS 3 Space Vehicle 1,
Wow.
which is the first of the 10 of the GPS 3 satellites, actually got commands from the operation center, basically. So this is the factory mission readiness testing is now done. So now they get to move to
going to make
launch.
GPS? Is this going to get to the point where we like have a GPS where it's like zeros out and it's actually perfect kind of a thing?
Kind of. This is what is going to provide the level 5 signals that everyone has been raving about for the last several years.
You're speaking nerd terms. Go in layman's terms.
Yeah, the level we've talked about it on the show a few times, but it's the like higher accuracy, better penetration signals.
You know.
So you still have a finite level of accuracy that you can reach. However, this is going to be better. It doesn't have the refractions as much. It has the building
the
penetration.
same but better. Is that what it is?
Well, it's
The same,
compatible. It's compatible backwards, but this is you have to have a new radio to access these signals. So your old GPS isn't going to be able to get the level 5 signals.
Oh, so you need a new GPS.
You need a new GPS, and the chipsets are coming out for the phone. So your phone is probably going to be able to do better accuracy once the GPS 3 satellites launch. But there's already other satellites up there like Galileo that do the level 5. So if it has the Galileo, which some of these new units are coming out with Galileo support as well, and I think I'm going from memory, so I could be wrong. I think some of the Russian satellites have it as well, but I know that the Russian or the Chinese and the Japanese are also doing the level 5 signals on theirs, but theirs are not global yet, so it's regional. So if it's supporting any of these other systems and it does the level 5, you should be getting better, more stable locations than you would with a traditional
You're saying my
GPS.
phone is going to be a better GPS than my GPS?
Correct. If it supports level 5, which the iPhone 10 does not, you'll have to wait till next year's model probably.
Everything.
No level 5 yet.
I moved to Verizon. Did I tell you that?
You did, but not on this show.
I moved to Verizon. I finally, I was on everybody else in the grandfathered AT&T plan, the one from 2010 or 2011. I finally went off it, Daryl. I'm out of it.
Nice. I am so tired of AT&T. I don't have AT&T for the last year now.
Yeah, I'm out.
And I'm so happy.
I'm out.
It's been such a massively improved experience.
I'm on Verizon now. I love it. I got no issues. I always get a signal. No problems.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Edwin is saying the maximum accuracy with the degrees, minutes, and 3 seconds, which isn't, the minutes with the 3 decimal places. It's not seconds, but at the 3 decimal places is 5 meters.
Okay.
So
That's pretty far.
As long as we're recording the cache location in 3 decimal places as accuracy, we're never going to get right down to the spot.
I mean, what do we get now? How far are we off now? Currently,
well, that's basically what we're off.
Yeah,
it's 10 meters is what we always say that you should expect, about 30 feet.
Right.
Because you have your accuracy and the.
But even when I find one 30 feet away, I still go, they could have done better than this.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to talk
a little bit better. But the problem
I've got,
because of the way that geocaching.com lists it with those 3 decimal places, you have a finite amount of accuracy. Now, what he doesn't mention here is that is also relative to the altitude and I think it's the distance from the equator, which changes the accuracy some because the distance between the lines is not constant on the 2D grid, the latitude and longitude.
Mhm.
And I'd have to go back and look at my notes for the Understanding Coordinates show or Getting Good Chords show because I don't remember how that worked either.
Okay.
The good news, though, we are getting that much closer to having the GPS 3 satellites up there. So I'm excited about this in part because it's going to start retiring some of the older satellites once they get
Right.
these new ones up there, which
Sure.
is going to improve accuracy for everything. These
Mhm.
are the newer, faster satellites that will improve the accuracy of the entire system
Mhm.
by a little bit. Now, if you have the level 5, it's really going to help the accuracy of your system, your
Yeah, but
GPS.
how accurate do you need to be? I mean, let's be realistic. We're playing this game.
Well, one of the big problems right now is what happens when you're driving and you go under like a building or through a tunnel.
Right.
The GPSs have taken into account the acceleration to figure out where they think you're going to be, but they lose signal. They just
Right.
keep moving based on the heading.
Right.
And there's a lot of other very cool, sophisticated technology to account for turning. But if you're in a tunnel, there's no chance that you're going to get a signal. Now, level 5 isn't going to really help if you're, in the tunnel under the Hudson River.
Yeah. Or if you're in like a mountain kind of a thing.
Right. But if you're just going under an overpass that's really long, and we've got some of these parks when
Sure.
they
Yeah,
built,
we've got one here. Yeah.
well, yeah, when they built the interstate, they built a park on an
Mhm.
overpass over the interstate. That kind of stuff, the level 5, as I understand, should penetrate and give you an actual location. So it's going to be a huge help when people want to do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But if you're in a building, like if you're in a mall or an airport, it will give you some location information.
Mm. Hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff that's going to help with. And the level 5 stuff is also supposed to be better at avoiding refractions and filtering them out. So when
Mhm.
you're in like downtown Chicago, you're not going to be 2 streets over.
Oh, Daryl knows all that all too well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you need the satellite view to figure out where some of those
Oh,
caches are.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
You live in the
Chicago's
highlight.
not the only one.
Yeah, sure.
Toronto has the same problems. New York, I'm sure London does. Even though I haven't heard anything about London, because I don't think London actually has any caches right downtown. But
Really?
yeah, I think I had heard something about them being archived, like for the Olympics, and them saying no,
Mhm.
no, too many problems. Just
Hmm.
outside of like some parks, they're not allowed in downtown
Really?
or something. Yeah, I don't
Interesting.
remember for sure. And I don't have anyone in London who can tell me anymore.
No, aside from Mark, but he's not even in London.
No, he's
No,
not in London. Yeah. So,
no.
if anyone knows for sure, write in and let us know for the next show because I'd love to hear about it. But I know Hyde Park had a big incident not too long before the Olympics, and that was one of the reasons that supposedly they were going to lock them out entirely. Yeah,
Huh.
Wet Coaster says the GPS should be able to do dead reckoning for you at least for a short period of time when you go into a tunnel. That's pretty much what they're doing, but they've gotten a lot more sophisticated with it. Especially on the cell phones, they're taking the motion data and doing a better than dead reckoning uh, estimation of where you are. They're able to uh, adjust for attitudes and stuff based on sensors in the phone. So
Mhm.
they've gotten really good at figuring out where you are, but it's not terribly hard to confuse those with things like large bodies of water and big metal things.
Yes. Hmm. Interesting. No, that'll be interesting to see what happens when that finally comes to fruition.
Yeah, and it's going to be a slow process because they're going to get the GPS-3 satellites up there. We're going to see the chips for the smartphones released, and once the chips are released, it's going to be years before we start really getting them in a lot of the phones. So, maybe we'll start seeing it in 2020 or 2021 in
Yeah.
devices like the iPhone. Now, it could be a lot sooner than that too. GLONASS, when those chips started popping up, it was probably within 6 months to a year that most of the smartphones had switched to the chips that supported the GLONASS
Mhm.
because that was what everyone was doing at that point.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. White Coaster says, when you travel on the subway, you're out of luck, at least in Toronto. Yes. Yeah. Those systems don't work well in the subway,
Mhm.
period.
No.
Yeah. There's no way that because of the interference that's generated, the sensors can't really do much.
Mhm.
All right. We've been talking about all this junk and off topic with rat holes for 50 minutes now. I think it's time to wrap it up and go to the bonus show.
Okay.
Okay. But before
Okay.
we do, we have several shows that we're going to tell you about. All the shows for January, in fact. So next show, Scott, you're going to really want to tune in for this one. Land Monkey's going to come in, and we're going to
Oh,
talk about
shockingly, that monkey's on. Oh my God.
yes, but we're going to be talking about connections. The actual cable connections and stuff like that to the GPS. And this came up largely because I
What?
had a
What are you
number of
doing?
people were talking about connectors and connections. It's we're
Connect.
calling it connections, but it came up largely because I had a lot of people locally terribly confused about the various USB connectors. So
Really?
we're going to try to talk about it and explain what the connections are and how that stuff all works.
And why Land Monkey? Is he a USB guy or
Well,
what's up with
he's a land monkey.
that?
LAN, not land, land.
I know Land. So
He's a
that is
sysadmin kind of guy.
okay. Okay.
And then we're going to be talking about trackables once again on the
So
11th.
he's the nerd in the know to know all stuff. So
Yeah, and he's pretty good at describing obscure concepts like that. So we figured he might be able to not confuse people more than Chris
they
and
already
I
are.
tend to confuse people.
All right. Sorry. Continue.
No worries, no worries. And then we're going to be talking about trackables on the 11th with Johnny Cash. Then on the 18th is going to be our next randomized show. For the 25th, we're doing another show on 3D printing. Now, I
Another
hope.
one 3D printing.
Yes,
Wow.
another show. It's been over a year, though.
Has it really?
Yes.
Really? Wasn't Gary on your last show?
No, Gary was not on the 3D printing
Not Gary.
show.
I'm sorry. I said Gary. I'm so sorry.
NTS?
Not No, Chad. I meant. Sorry, Chad.
Oh, no, that was a couple of episodes ago.
A couple
No,
years
this
ago.
is going to be C. Nelson and Antaeus talking about it again.
That's the guy to
Yeah.
have. Yeah, he's the one.
But
Big
I
guy.
still have, it's been over a year now, and I still don't have my 3D printer back up and running. And it's not a matter of, I can't fix it. It's a matter of I just haven't had the time to sit down and tear it apart to fix it.
Yeah, because you're busy. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is also why I only have 200 and what was it that I said beforehand? 227 caches this year.
Wow.
So Scott, you're going to come and take away my show, huh?
I was talking to my off-air guys. He was telling me his number. And I'm like, and you host a podcast. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Definitely. This is my second slowest year ever. My slowest.
The only saving grace you have is this is the GeoGearHeads. So you can say, well, we're not just a geocaching podcast. We're a nerd podcast. So
yeah, and we talk about other shows, which we have several times.
Right.
Some people like, some people don't, each their own.
200. That's not even like one a day.
No,
That's
it's
like
0.6. What is it saying? 0.6253.
Damn, dude. Really?
Yeah. Well, I did get married this year. Does that count?
No, that was like a day.
Yeah, like a month and a half of craziness.
I got married this year, please. I'm a man now.
I never said that I was a man now.
I'm a grown up. Look at me. I'm a man. I'm a husband now. So yes, it was. Kudos to you.
Oh,
And your
thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you very much. Anyway, let's get back to closing out the show. Check the Cashmaniacs website at cashmaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cashmaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cashmaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through a link on our website to support the Cashmaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Quinn Steffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2017 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cashmaniacs.